All right, this program is designed to teach you the basics of social media, how to build an audience, and how to use social media as an extension of your communications program for your fire department. In our new world way of communicating, social media is extremely important and can be extremely valuable to any fire department as a way to reach your voters and the citizens that you serve. This program is designed to give you the basics of social media and how to construct a social media program to be part of your overall communication strategy. So I've used social media in a variety of avenues. That's been building social media platforms, running issue-based campaigns, and it's just a lifelong learning and passion that I have for learning how social media works and can be used as a valuable tool. A comprehensive social media program will allow you to do a number of things. Number one is going to allow you to build a platform that you'll be able to communicate with your community during times of emergency. Number two, it'll allow you to build an audience so that when you have a ballot initiative or an issue-based campaign, you'll be able to communicate with your voters. And number three, it'll allow you to build a tool that will allow you to showcase the work and profile of the firefighters in your community. The great thing about social media is that a community of any size can use this as a tool. It allows you to reach your community where they're at and allows them to interact with you. It becomes a two-way conversation between you and the community that you serve where you can showcase what your fire department does. As you're watching this in your fire stations, I would ask that you could do a Facebook post, you could tweet, or you could give me a comment on Instagram showing that you are following along. As you can see here, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at MorganRP, or you can find me on Facebook at Morgan.Ron. And if you don't know what any of those things are, by the end of this presentation, you will. If you are going to use Twitter and Instagram, make sure you use the hashtag social media for fire departments. And if your fire departments already have a Twitter page, Facebook, or an Instagram account, make sure that you have those feeds open during this presentation so that you can follow along. As social media gained more prominence in our world, it also became the more primary way that we communicate with each other. Through messenger apps, through Facebook pages, through Twitter feeds, all these areas allowed us to communicate with our friends and family in different ways that we had never seen before. In this current century that we're in, it is one of the primary modes of communication, and people have come to expect that as a way to communicate with each other. If you think that social media is not something that your fire department should be doing, stay tuned throughout this presentation and you will learn exactly why your fire department needs to be using these tools. As great as the tools of social media are, and we will cover those during this presentation, they do not replace the face-to-face personal contact that you will have with your community and the citizens that you serve. If you're watching with a group, or even if you're watching by yourself, I want you to take a few minutes at this point and figure out what social media platforms does your fire department have, and how many followers do you have on those pages. And if you don't have any social media accounts, you're missing out on the opportunities that you have to connect with your community and to interact with the media and to showcase what your fire department can do. What's the purpose? Why do you want to have a social media presence? Now, the goals for this social media program are going to change depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to secure additional funding for your fire department through a levy? Are you trying to have an audience to discuss ballot initiatives? With any of these programs, you need to build an audience, and this will be your starting point. Gone are the days of doing your job well and being appreciated for it. Your taxpayers now expect to see what their firefighters are doing on a regular basis, what types of calls are going on, what types of community events they're participating in. Many police agencies, politicians, city governments, and just about any civic group has some sort of social media presence, and your community wants to see the same. Now let's talk about why you should be on social media. Number one, your community expects to see you on social media, and they're also out there searching for you on social media right now. Wouldn't it be a shame if they couldn't find you? You can search the internet and find a whole bunch of statistics about social media usage, and what role it has playing in our lives in this new modern era. According to Pew Research, about 69% of adults have at least one social media profile. When you look at this statistic, that 69% of adults is not just teenagers. These are people over the age of 18. These are adults, these are your voters, these are the grandmothers and grandpas in the community that are going to be there to advocate for you with your social media presence. So what's the takeaway? Your constituents, your voters, your taxpayers, and most importantly, your community is on social media and they want to hear from you. It doesn't matter whether or not you are on social media, the taxpayers and the citizens that you serve are. Social media should be a part of any communications plan for your department. It's not intended to replace any PIO program that you currently have. PIOs these days now use social media as a tool to connect with the media and to elected officials in your area to see what is going on with the fire department. PIOs work within their own guidelines, and those guidelines need to be respected in how your department uses social media. Communications, and specifically social media, should be a part of everything that your department does. Oftentimes it's last minute or it's an afterthought where you're always scrambling to get someone to take a picture, post on social media, or send out a Facebook invite to your community letting them know about an event that's going on at the fire station. So a couple of questions that one of my mentors, Scott Tribitz from Tricom PR, has always taught me was to ask these simple questions to get an evaluation of where your current communications and social media program is for your department. Do you currently have active social media accounts? Could you utilize those accounts to interact with the public, the media, or elected officials? Could you right now write and submit a press release to the applicable news outlets? And could you contact a reporter to get a story done? An additional question, can you think of a time recently when you wish you had had an ability to communicate better with your community? Now, if you already have established social media platforms, that's great. What I like to talk about in this presentation is the big three: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, each one of these offers their own strategy, and as this presentation goes on, we'll talk about how to effectively use each one of them. So what about the others? There's YouTube, Snapchat, Tumblr, blogging. These are all great platforms and have their purposes, but for what we're trying to accomplish and talk about today, these are not ones that I would focus on. Get good at the big three. That's going to be your bread and butter. YouTube is a great tool that you can use to store videos and to showcase content, but the problem is that that's not where your community is, it's not where your taxpayers are, and you're not going to be reaching the people you want to reach with a comprehensive social media program. Snapchat, Tumblr, and blogging are all popular social media platforms that are used today, but they're just not effective in reaching the audience that you're looking to reach. Get good at the big three first: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and then look at expanding your social media program to YouTube. You are building a brand. The brand is your fire department. The one thing that people still expect, though, is that there's a website that they can always go to see what your fire department is about. The first building block is building an audience. It is very slow going and can take a lot of time, and it can be a little discouraging when you see social media feeds that have been in existence for a long time that have thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of followers. You are trusted by your communities to provide service, service, and service. That's the expectation that the taxpayers to have, and this is your brand. One of the ways to showcase your fire department is to think of it as a product. It's a product that your taxpayers are providing their dollars for, and they want to know what they're getting in exchange. You are trusted by the taxpayers to provide a service, and that service becomes the brand of your department. What is a brand? Your department is a brand, and if you're a large municipal fire department, your brand is an all-service fire department that has fire response and EMS response. By contrast, if you're a small, rural, volunteer fire department, you're an extension of your community and the true showcase of neighbors helping neighbors. Your fire department is seen as a brand. Now, what is your reputation? Is it fast, effective fire response? Is it an all-service department to your community? Your brand and your reputation should be reflected in your social media appearance. If you're watching this as a group or even by yourself, here's a few more discussion points. What is your department's brand? What are you known for? And if you walked out on the street right now and asked 50 people, what would they say about your fire department? And regardless of what you think, the response of those 50 people is what your brand is. So what are your goals? We've talked about building an audience. We've talked about showing what your department is about. Your goals may be getting involved with local elections, political engagement, and protecting your brand. And one last goal might be educating your community on why your fire department needs additional funding. Now let's talk about the key principles of social media. Content, 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 consistency, collaboration, engagement, and evaluation. I hope you've already taken away from this that social media is an important way to reach your community. But if you take anything away from this at this point, is that content will make or break your social media campaigns. You're competing in a space where fire departments, police departments, and other civic organizations are putting out quality content. Your followers will be forgiving, but there's two aspects of content quality that you need to make sure you do. Audio quality Have you ever watched a video where someone's just using a standard microphone built into their phone? Your followers expect good audio quality. The same goes for lighting. The lighting has to be spot on so that they can see what's actually happening in the picture. This doesn't mean that you need to go out and purchase a bunch of high quality video production equipment. Your followers just want to hear what's going on and be able to have a quality picture to see on the screen. We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about content types. The first one of those being live feeds. Live feed can be done on almost every platform, whether that's Facebook Live, Periscope on Twitter, or Instagram Live. Social media sites want you to use their platforms to produce content. When you're using live feeds, these garner the highest priority in people's news feeds and will reach the most followers. An additional benefit to live feeds is that it notifies all of your followers when you're going live. Doing a live feed does require some strategy, in that you're going to need someone manning a camera, and people can comment as they're following the live feed, and you need to respond to those comments. Doing live feeds does require a little bit of equipment, and that you need a smartphone or an iPad or a tablet to be able to broadcast that comment. It also helps to have a tripod or a microphone to make sure you capture steady footage with good audio quality. You don't want to be live streaming calls such as fires, car accidents, and service calls due to potential HIPAA restrictions. Live streams are great for open houses, capability demonstrations, award ceremonies, and other community building events. After live streams, video is the second most highest prioritized content that will reach the most followers in their news feeds. You've heard me talk about prioritized content now a couple of times. I want to take a second just to talk about what that means. Each social media platform uses its own algorithms to determine what type of content shows up in people's feeds. After live streaming, video content that you directly upload to a social media site will reach the second most highest group of followers. The website Social Media Today reports that 8 billion videos a day are watched on Facebook around the world. Using video requires a certain type of strategy. You have to know what type of video you want to make. It does require some equipment, and it does require some post-production editing. Don't let all that scare you. It really is not that difficult to produce high-quality video content, and it should be a goal of your social media program. The key to any video content is making sure that it's short and to the point. A 30-second to 1-minute video is easy to edit and easy to add graphics that can grab the viewer. There may be a time in your social media program where you need to create longer video content, and that's great as long as the subject material is good and your points are direct and not droning on. One of the easiest ways for starters to get a social media program going is to use photos. For people starting out, photos with captions should be your bread and butter content. Picture quality is key, and make sure you assign a photographer to every event. Pictures require little to no editing and need just a little bit of writing or a caption to go with it. This is a great way to repurpose all the photos that your department's taken over the last few years. While photos don't get as much priority in people's news feeds as live or video content, it's an easy way to get started while you're learning the video side of things. As we work our way down content priority, the next type of content I want to talk about is written. Written is not effective on Facebook anymore. You require a picture or video to go with your content to get into most people's news feeds. You can use just written content on Twitter, but it requires a strategy. Some ideas for posting just written text on Twitter are that your fire department is on scene of an accident and this road is closed, or there's a house fire in this part of the city and to beware of traffic in that area. The problem with written text without a video or a photo is it's just not attention grabbing. The people scrolling through their news feeds just aren't going to see it. All the social media platforms allow you to share other people's content. What they want you to do, though, is share that content inside their social media network. That means that if you're using content on Facebook, they want you to share other people's content within Facebook. When you're grabbing a link from outside, such as a news story or copying a URL for a website and putting that inside Facebook, they're going to deprioritize that content. It's not going to reach the people that you want it to. Whenever you're using other people's content, whether it's a video, whether it's a news article, or a photo, you always need to give credit to the original owner of that property. Let's talk about what type of stuff to put into your content. We talked earlier about scene calls. Just be careful. Remember, there's HIPAA protected information in there, and you never want to show someone's license plate or their address. Training events are a great way to show your community what your firefighters are capable of. So training that your department does is a great way to fill your content needs within your social media program. Types of training that you should show are burn to learns. Anytime you're training with another agency, whether it's the cops or an EMS agency, or any training that's being done just around the station, is a great way to show what the capabilities of your fire department are. One thing you need to make sure of when you're using training as content for social media feeds is that all the training is being conducted within department policy and OSHA regulations. Community events, whether it's an open house or a picnic, or any time you are hosting your community near a fire station, creates a great way to showcase what your fire department and what your station is all about. These events may seem like fluff, but they build an amazing amount of goodwill within your community and highlight what their firefighters are doing. Another item that you can put into your content feeds are PSAs, whether that's smoke alarms, how to safely deep fry a turkey, and fall prevention for elderly people in your community. There's a strategy that goes along with writing the text that goes along with the photos and videos that you're putting out. These are classic copywriting models that advertisers have used for years to write commercials and ads for products that they're selling. These models are problem, agitation, solution, and attention, interest, and desire. And we'll cover both of those models in the following slides. The problem, agitation, solution model is one in which you help the public see what the problem is, and you stir some emotional agitation in them and then provide the solution. So here's an example. Did you know there aren't enough firefighters in your community to respond to emergencies? This could mean that when you call 911, there is not adequate personnel or staffing to show up at your house. We are asking you to vote yes on our levy to increase staffing in our community. The second model of content writing is attention, interest, and desire. If you're trying to call attention to an issue or an event, you want to create interest within your community and then allow the desire of what you want them to do come through at the end. Here's an example. Want to visit your local fire station? Ever wondered who the firefighters are in your city? Come on down to Station 51 this weekend and visit our open house. Using one of these copywriting templates will help attract more viewers and more followers on your content than it would if you were just to write it freehand. So we've talked about the content and the types of content you should be putting out and some content writing models. Now let's get into consistency. How often should you be posting? You cannot post when you only have something to say. You have to post consistently, showing the good work that your firefighters are doing and to build that audience. Each social media platform has different consistency needs for how often you should be posting, and we'll cover those shortly. One idea that you need to get in your heads if you're going to start with a social media program is that you need to have someone who is committed to daily posting and monitoring of your social media feeds. Your followers aren't always looking to see relevant content. They're looking to make a connection with you. If you're a small volunteer fire department or just a smaller fire department in general that doesn't have the staffing to have someone doing the daily posting and monitoring on your social media feeds, make sure you plan out your content. Do you have events coming up in the next couple of weeks that you can assign someone to capture photographs and information about the event that can be posted at a later time? Part of a quality social media campaign is the ability to collaborate with pages that you follow. You need to make sure that you tag, mention, check in, and do all that you can to include others in your posts. When you interact with other social media pages through tagging, mentioning, or checking in, they're more likely to do the same with your pages, helping to expand your reach. You need to make sure that you respond when other social media pages do the same. Give them a like, share their content. This will help build your followers and your network. The one thing to remember is always give credit where credit is due. Now it's time for another discussion point. Whether you're in a group or by yourself, think about what agencies, community groups, or people in your communities have great social media presence. These are the types of pages that you want to interact with, link to, and also look to see how they're being successful with their social media programs. You have good content, you're putting it out consistently, and you're collaborating with other pages. Now you want engagement. Get your friends, family, coworkers to like, share, retweet, and repost the content that you're putting out. Your community and followers will start doing the same. Make sure you always respond to comments and questions that people leave on your social media feeds. And also make sure you like, share, and comment, retweet, and repost on the pages that you follow. After you get a basic understanding of how these social media platforms work, you have the ability to reach the people you want to reach. Now, I wouldn't recommend this right away, but someday you should have a goal of learning how to advertise and boost posts on Facebook and other social media sites. These do require a little bit of money to be able to do this type of advertising, but it also gives you an extreme ability to target the audiences that you want to reach. The last part is that you want to evaluate how your content is doing. You'll have some metrics like post reach versus likes or retweets, and these are just different metrics that social media sites use to show you how well your content's doing. Each social media platform offers a tremendous amount of analytic data that'll help you see how your content is performing. And the simplest method is trial and error. By consistently posting, you will find what works and what doesn't work on social media. It'll become clear what types of posts get the most reach. Remember, you're not looking just to get information out, you're looking for engagement from your community. Are you ready to start a social media program? The first place that you should start is on Facebook. You want to start on Facebook because this is where most of your community is. You'll want to set it up as a page as opposed to a personal profile, and you want to have a goal of 1 to 3 Facebook posts per day. Ask your coworkers, friends, and family to like the page and invite their networks to like the page as well. This will help build your followers and build the community that you need for a successful social media program. Facebook offers a variety of tools to help get your Facebook page up and running. If you're unable to do 1 to 3 posts a day, one Facebook tool that's available is the ability to schedule posts. One day during the week, you could schedule out a week's worth of Facebook posts to go out to your community. When you're writing a Facebook post, the amount of text that you should use is about 111 characters. You shouldn't use any hashtags, and then make sure you keep in mind the content types that we talked about earlier in this presentation. Your whole goal in the way you write your post and the type of content that you put out is to optimize the algorithm that Facebook uses to put content into people's news feeds. One thing to keep in mind about the algorithm is that it does change from year to year. So what might work in your social media feeds right now may not work next year, and you need to be apprised of the changes that Facebook will make. There's usually a lot of social media coverage around the changes to Facebook's algorithm, so if you're paying attention to what's going on, you will see when the change occurs in your news feed. Facebook Live is a way to broadcast from an event using a smartphone or tablet device. It's a great way to showcase your brand and requires a little bit of equipment. It's nothing more than a smartphone or a tablet, a tripod, and a microphone. You want to make sure you get a steady shot with good audio quality. It's helpful to have a second person following the live feed that will be able to interact with the followers, answering their questions, and adding to the comments. After you become proficient and have a good quality Facebook page up and running, Twitter would be the next place to go. One big advantage of Twitter is it allows you to provide real-time information from events as it's happening. Using Twitter is a great way to connect with the media in your area. Almost every single reporter for a given news agency has a Twitter feed that they use to provide news updates for the stories that they're following. Twitter has become a great platform for politicians to provide information about initiatives that they're working on and groups that they're interacting with on a daily basis. By interacting with politicians on Twitter, you'll be able to see what initiatives and maybe even budget items they're working on that are relevant to your department. And vice versa, they may follow you to see what their fire department is doing on a regular basis. There is no limit to the number of posts that you can do on Twitter per day. Remember, it's limited to 240 characters and that you need to include hashtags throughout your Twitter feed. An easy way to interact with other Twitter pages is to retweet and mention other Twitter users. Instagram is number 3 in the big 3 that I told you about earlier. There's a strategy involved in that this is primarily photo sharing and not a way to get a lot of information across. Instagram offers you a unique advantage that you're going to reach a younger demographic. This makes Instagram a great way for recruitment and retention of newer, younger firefighters for your community. You can post videos or photos to Instagram, and you can do that in a post or a news story type feed. You should aim to post 2 to 3 times a day, similar to Facebook posting guidelines. Because Instagram is owned by Facebook, there is an ability in your settings to share content between the two platforms from posting from Instagram or Facebook. If you don't have enough content to post at least 1 photo a day, you should stick to Facebook and Twitter. Let's talk about the equipment that you can use to capture video, to capture photo, or to do live events. At its most basic, you need a smartphone or even a tablet. You need a tripod and a lapel mic. A tripod and lapel mic can be purchased for less than $50 through Amazon. If your budget allows and your ability, you can upgrade to a camera and more sophisticated microphones. If you're looking to get a more advanced equipment package or upgraded capabilities, You can use a mirrorless or DSLR camera with video recording capability, wireless microphones, lighting, backdrops, and you can even use gimbals to help you capture smooth footage on the go. Just remember, you don't need any of this fancy equipment to get started. You can use a basic tripod and a lapel mic with your smartphone and capture great quality content. So now you're ready to get started. First thing you need to do is develop a communications plan that incorporates social media, which is nothing more than an idea of what you'd like to see being done that's not being done now. If the members of your department are members of the IFF, work with them on this social media plan. If you're not an IFF department, just work with your service members. You also need to develop a departmental policy that governs social media use. Who can post, what should be posted, and who has the ultimate authority to approve and deny social media posts. What you really don't want is people freelancing on social media, and you need to ensure controls are in place that you're putting out the correct content. You want to find people in your organization that can be committed to being the social media representative for their department. You should have at least 3 to 4 people who have access to the sites and passwords. You never want one person to be the owner of all the passwords for your social media sites. Obviously, it would be great if you have people within your department that can fulfill these roles for you. If you need to, look outside your department. Do you have photographers, videographers, photo editors, and social media experts in your community? Reach out to them and see what a resource they can be to your program. All right, another discussion point. Who in your department can be the social media/communications lead? Chief officers and leaders, ask yourself this question. Will you commit to supporting these programs? As you're getting started, if you already have a page, utilize the one you already have set up. We talked earlier about how to start a Facebook page if you don't have one, but just remember, you have to start somewhere. I know we've already talked about ideas for posting, but I want to add in a couple more. Fill the boot, major calls, end of the year statistics, all make great content. Additionally, don't be afraid to do some member profiles. I know we talked about not live streaming major calls, but it's okay to use content that's put out by the media or content that has any HIPAA information removed that's put out by your department. Member profiles provide great social media content, are an easy way for your department to highlight the people that are working for their fire department. So hopefully you've put into place some policies and procedures that govern what you can and can't post, and hopefully you'll never be in this situation where something gets posted that shouldn't be posted. So what do you do if something inappropriate gets posted? You immediately remove the content and you immediately apologize. After the incident, do a debrief and ensure that it doesn't happen again. If you ever are managing one of these incidents where something has gone wrong, don't be afraid to reach out for help. You can always contact me and you'll see my contact information at the end. There's lots of resources that can help you. YouTube is a great option for learning how to shoot video, how to take pictures, how to run social media campaigns, even to how to set up a YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram feed. If your department members are a part of the IFF has a ton of resources available to help locals develop and produce quality social media content. There are a number of websites and podcasts available to you to help you learn about social media and how to best optimize your content. If you're looking for a good podcast, try the Buffer podcast, which is a weekly podcast highlighting social media. If you're looking for some great social media feeds to follow, here are some that I would recommend. The Tualatin Valley Firefighters Union, Bend Firefighters, the Professional Firefighters of New Jersey, the Texas State Professional Firefighters, Clackamas Firefighters, and the International Association of Firefighters.